Welcome to BackStory, the musical journey of Leon and Malia. Award-winning duo Leon and Malia has been part of Hawaii's music scene for over 40 years, composing and performing a wide range of music in Hawaii and around the world. In this special series, we'll be hearing the fascinating backstories behind their amazing journeys in music, from Waikiki to the London Symphony, from the momentous triumphs of Hokulea to the Hawaiian cultural renaissance.
Aloha, aloha mai kākou. I'm Kimo Kaho'ano. It's an honor to be here with you, welcoming you to BackStory, the musical journey of Leon and Malia.
Aloha, I'm Leon.
And I'm Malia. Welcome to Leon and Malia BackStory.
This episode is about a project that we did a number of years ago called Mokulana. It's as you can see, it's actually a storybook album.
And that was a number of years ago, wasn't it?
Right.
Because they don't, well, they're bringing them back now, though.
Right, vinyl is coming back.
Vinyl is coming back. But at the time, it was part of the storybook. You see, we have it opening up. And
then there is a vinyl disc in it.
Very exciting vinyl disc. Look at that. Oh my gosh. And then, of course, we have the pages that turn.
Hey, just like a real book.
Just like all the real books. So the kids grew up with this. This was our very first foray into children's music.
Aloha, my name is Mokulana, and just wanted to share my experience as a keiki growing up listening to the music of Leon and Malia. There was a particular album that was one of my all-time favorites. It was called Mokulana, and I'll never forget, that was like a world that I constantly revisited and learned so much about Hawaii. The songs were so catchy. I've now become a professional musician, travel the world, and it's funny, I was sharing with Uncle Leon that sometimes I even run into people in other countries that have heard those songs. So I just want to mahalo Leon and Malia for creating this timeless musical works that influenced me as a child. Mahalo.
So then there was the time I was in Buenos Aires in Argentina, and I was walking down the street. Somebody came up behind me and started going, humu, humu, nuku, nuku. And I turned around and it was somebody I had never met before, but apparently his child had been watching our video there in Buenos Aires. So we find all over the world that people are singing our songs. Right, so let me tell you a little bit of how this came about.
Right.
I was shopping in Times Supermarket in Aiea. And this gentleman comes up to me with a shopping cart and he says, "You're Leon, right?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, I have a friend who would like to talk to you about a project." So a few days later, we get together with his friend, and his friend said that he asked if we would do a children's project for him, a recording of children's songs, of Hawaiian children's songs. And we said, well, that would be very interesting to do. And he said the reason he wanted to do that was because he had recently separated with his wife, and his wife was moving with his two daughters to California or someplace on the continent. And so he said, I don't want my children to lose touch of where they came from. And so he wanted us to write this album, or to do this project for his children, so that they could keep in touch with their roots. Now, the interesting thing was he was not a Hawaiian person. He was a Japanese person. He grew up in Hawaii. His children were Japanese, but he identified so strongly with being part of Hawaii that he wanted them to learn about their home.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And that speaks well for all of the cultures that grow up here in Hawaii. We want to take it worldwide. We want to show everyone what we have here, because our finned and feathered friends are so special. So let's tell them about who is on the album.
Who is on the album?
Oh, well, it's narrated by Skylark,
right,
who was at KCCN at the time, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so she is the narrator, but there's a character here you see on the back of the album called Maliu, who is a menehune. And the premise of this is Malia is a menehune on an enchanted island called
Mokulana.
which is on the front there.
Okay, I'll go
And
back
that
to the front.
particular island, Mokulana, only comes into view once in a while.
Out on the ocean, not far away, hidden behind the sea mists, there is an island, Mokulana, the floating island of enchantment, timeless home of the Menehune, the legendary little people of Hawaii.
We take the children on a journey to Mokulana where we meet Malia, and Malia starts telling us about the wonderful things of Hawaii.
Well, the finned and feathered
Right.
friends
Now,
mostly.
the voice of Malia is an old friend, and his name is Saul Bright, the very famous Hawaiian composer.
Right.
And Saul Bright had this really wonderful voice and a
Warm,
laugh and
old,
warm, yes.
yeah.
So he was Malia on this.
Right,
And then
right.
our friend Billy Sage did all the voices of all the other
Again,
characters.
yes, he did.
Right.
And I think it was audio media in those days, so that
Right.
we
It was recorded at Audio
recorded.
Media.
And how about-
we used the Hawaii Children's Chorus.
Oh, yes, right.
Which was led by Wanda Garabin at the
Garabin.
time. And she was also leader of the opera chorus and others.
Right.
But,
With St. Andrew's Priory, we did that. How about the Dave Parker? He was
Yes. So the artist who painted this, his name is Dave Parker. And Dave Parker was really an expert on Hawaiian culture and had done a lot of research in that area. His son is Brooke Parker, who is also a famous artist.
artist, wow.
And his son, Brooke Parker, does all of these wonderful paintings of the ali'i to forward. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's go right into the songs. Let's talk first about that wonderful song, "Oh Oh Ah Ah."
All right.
Tell us something about
Yes.
that.
Oh Oh Ah Ah. That actually became probably our biggest hit from this particular recording. And Oh Oh Ah Ah is about a bird, and it was a bird that was thought to be extinct. In fact, in 1972, I read an article that they may have heard this Oh Oh Ah Ah call up in the wilds of Mount Waialeale.
Right.
And up
But
in
then
the
we were
Alakai
able
Swamp.
to get the recording
Right.
of that last
So we
call.
were looking for this recording, and we asked. Malia's brother was trained in forestry.
Jim Elliott.
Jim Elliott.
And-
And he had several friends who had gone to college with, and he knew through the forestry connections.
The wildlife
who-
biology.
Right. Who were actually in various programs all around the island. So one of them is John Simcock,
Yes.
who was up on Kauai at the time, and he was the one that was tracking the
The
wild
oh-oh-ah-ah.
And so he sent us a recording, a cassette recording of the oh-oh-ah-ah bird call.
That
which
he
is-
had made himself up there in the forest.
and you can hear all the rain.
Yes, yes.
But,
Fabulous.
so we were able to take the bird call and separate it out and put it onto this recording. As far as I know, it's the only recording of it
that we know of. Yes.
Because a few years later, the song is about the return of the o'o'a because it was thought to be extinct. And so now it's coming back. They had found several small families of the o'o'a in Mount Waialeale. Then after a few years, about 10 years later, they
Yes,
sort of
about
disappeared
87
again.
or so it disappeared.
And so we haven't heard from them since.
Right. So here is the oh-oh-ah-ah. That was O'o-a-a. And now, for the next tongue twister, we have O'opu Ailehua.
Yes, we're kind of on the O's.
We are.
Right,
We got
right now.
the O's on that one.
O'opu Ailehua. O'opu is a fish that is actually a freshwater, actually both brackish and freshwater. And that actually thrives up in the mountain streams or in the brackish water ponds. And it's really quite a delightful fish. It got the name O'opu Ailehua. We came across that name because the fish actually climbs out of the water and can climb up trees and things like that.
Well, and it appears to eat the lehua blossoms that fall down into the water.
It's actually seeking bugs.
But then in the song it says, no, he's eating the bugs off the petals.
Yes. So this song was recorded. Again, the voice was Billy Sage, and it was
Yes.
recorded, and we have video of this one. And this video was shot in Manua Stream.
Yes, it was. That's right. Well, let's take a quick look at O'opu Ailehua.
O'opu Ailehua, you're such a funny fish. O'opu Ailehua, you're such a hungry fish. For flowers are for birds, and flowers are for bees. But if you wish, oh funny fish, eat flowers if you please. O'opu Ailehua, you're such a great delight. O'opu Ailehua, eat everything in sight. You eat up all the limu, you swallow that with ease. But for the forest's sake, we're glad you can climb trees. O'opu Ailehua, now we have to go. O'opu Ailehua, thank you for the show. For flowers are for birds, and flowers are for bees. But if you wish, oh funny fish, eat flowers if you please.
The next song is about another creature that is really unusual here in the islands. On each island and in every valley, there was a species or a variation of this particular kind of animal called the kahuli. And the kahuli is a Hawaiian snail. And these snails are very beautiful. In each valley, depending on the kind of environment they're in and the food that they eat, they had different colors and different designs on their shells, and were really quite an incredible collection. And if you go to the Bishop Museum or someplace like that, you'll find these wonderful collections of kahuli shells, and they're very different. And it was said that the ancient Hawaiians could tell by the shell that they saw which valley it came from.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, that really is.
Right.
So in our story, in our storybook about the kahuli, what we wrote about was the fact that there was a time when the kahuli were land snails,
Right.
and that they spent their time having a wonderful time in the grass in the fields.
And in Akalea fern.
Akalea ferns. But then came the time of the people moving in.
The kahuli retreated up into the trees because to prevent themselves from being trampled.
Right.
And so they went up into the trees, and that's
But
where
now
they
they
live
did not have their
The Akalea fern.
the Akalea fern,
The nectar from the
which
Akalea.
gave them their nectar. So, interestingly enough, the Kolea birds agreed to bring the nectar up from the Akalea fern up into the trees for the kahuli to be able to have their favorite nectar.
And in return, the kahuli would sing for them. So if you go out into the into the forest at night, and it's particularly on the nights of the full moon, you'll
Yes.
hear this beautiful whistling sound, really gentle, kind of a lullaby, mysterious little lullaby, and that is the sound of the kahuli.
Here we go, kahuli aku. What's next, Leon?
Next is a song about the nene. The nene, which is the Hawaiian goose,
Right.
as most children know by now, was almost extinct, and only a few were still alive, and those few were in a zoo in London.
In London, England.
In London,
Our
England.
Nene in
Right.
London, England.
So
All right.
the Shipman family from the Big Island decided that they would help to propagate, bring back the species. And so some of the geese were shipped from London to the
Big Island,
Big Island,
wasn't it?
and then pens were built there, and the nene was then nurtured back into life. When I was a young boy, I went up to Pohakuloa, which is where the military base is right now. But off to the side, there was this experimental station in which they were raising nene. So by then, there were several dozen nene, which had been brought up from the Shipman experiment
Yes.
at Hopoi. And so now, and then from then, the nene has propagated out into the rest of all
Right,
the
and
islands.
now if you're driving around the Big Island, you see signs that say Nene Crossing.
Right.
Because they'll come right across the road. But most of the kids here on Oahu and other islands, I think, especially here, they see the Nene at the Honolulu Zoo. So we're happy that the zoo has them
Right,
here.
but if you're on Kauai or Maui or the Big Island,
Right.
actually you can see them in the wild.
Yes, yes.
And they're not too far up in the mountains like they used to be. They're pretty bold. They come down and they kind of hang around the golf courses and places
Oh, is
like
that right?
Volcano and like that.
Well, this video clip shows us with the Hawaii Children's Chorus and going up into the mountain area there to work with, we have not only live footage, but we have a wonderful puppet of the nene. Here we go.
We have come to your mountain home. Nene, come and play. My, how quickly you have grown. Nene, come and play. Gentle Nene, come and play. Come be with us today. Gentle Nene, come and play today. Nene, you are very rare. Nene, come and play. We must give you special care. Nene, come and play. Gentle Nene, come and play. Come be with us today. Gentle Nene, come and play today.
Leon, I think we have time for one more video clip or a story to tell. Let's tell a little bit about the song Opai A, because we used it not just here, but also in a very important other setting. So why don't you just contrast the settings?
Well, 1979, which is when we recorded Mokulana, we also recorded another project with the London Symphony Orchestra. And one of the common things we had was this song, Opai A. So here it's sung by children, and the Opai A is a very special song. It's a very ancient song. It comes from a chant that names the various sea creatures. And the story of it is that a brother and a sister who lived together, and there was some offense that the brother did, and as a result his aumakua was angered, and so the aumakua sent a puhi, and the puhi kidnapped the sister, took the sister far away into another place and hid the sister in a cave. And now it was the brother's duty to go and rescue her. And so he decided to go around to the different sea creatures to ask for help. So he went to the Opai, and he explained the situation, and this great
Puhi?
the puhi had captured his sister, and the Opai said, sorry, can't help you. And then he goes to other sea creatures along the way, including the mano, the shark, the big shark. And the mano said, no, the puhi is too fierce. I'm afraid. And so they wouldn't go with him. And finally, he comes across the Opihi. And everybody here,
tiny Opihi.
And so the Opihi agreed to go with him. Of course, the brother is quite surprised, but he needs the help. And so he accepts their offer. They go along to go seek out his sister. And when they get there, the Opihi, very slyly, very slowly and cleverly, creep up the sides of the puhi without the puhi knowing and clamp themselves over the eyes of the puhi. And thus the puhi was blinded, and therefore the brother was able to rescue his sister.
So even the tiniest of creatures, or the tiniest of all of us, and especially with children, learning a song like this, they can feel empowered that even though they're small, they are important.
And can be heroes as there is in the story. Now, there's some really significant places in the islands up on Kauai. There's a place where you can hear, the ocean comes rushing into an underground cavern, and you can hear this kind of breathing and sighing, and they're saying that that's the cave where the puhi had kept the sister, and the puhi is now mourning for the loss of this thing. The other thing is that large puhi, these older, very old puhis, are all blind, and so the idea of the Opai story of the blinded puhi and all that is there. So anyway, this song Opai was again from a very ancient chant that was used to describe the number of the sea creatures in the ocean, but it's this wonderful story of heroism and of self-sacrifice.
You'll enjoy this, I'm sure. But why don't we just for a moment throw in the
London Symphony
version
Orchestra
from London Symphony Orchestra. And that was the story of Opai. And that brings us to the end of this episode, the story about our album Mokulana.
And you're listening to, or you're viewing, the backstory from Leon and Malia. And it's really been a pleasure to be with you. We hope to see you on our next episode. Until then, I'm Leon.
And I'm Malia.
Aloha.
Such chatter. Away.
Jibber jabber, chitter chatter. Shiver